5 rounds, we have raced 3 points. Here's the difference in the championship. 2 races to go, but only one will win it all here at NXTGP. I welcome you all to the very last round here of the Porsche Carrera Benelux Cup here at NXTGP. And we arrive at the Nurburgring for that very last round. I welcome you all again. My name is Daan van Zutphen. I will be your commentator here today. Behind the screen for our broadcast is again our beautiful Dennis Wieringa as always, and I can promise you this will be a spectacular round with a lot of action, not only for the championship, because Lewis Beilicke and Sam Kuijten, they share a 3-point difference between each other, but also up and down the field are the championship, the races for position, for the overall standings still going. We have Dennis Blokker in fight with Frey Koekoek. Frey Koekoek had a very good run last race at Spa-Francorchamps. Only 5 points between those drivers for P5 and P6 in the championship. So yes, we have a fight for the championship, but also up and lower down the field. Well, before we go to the last 2 races of the season, we still have one very last qualifying session to go. And it will again be driven here at the Nurburgring. Not the Nordschleife, but the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, which is 5.1 kilometers long, has 14 turns and is always action-packed, especially with Porsche Super Cups here, because, well, if you don't know already, everyone drives with the same car. It is the Porsche Carrera Super Cup, and this is Co-Andi Esports driver Lewis Beilicke, who currently is leading the championship, again only by 3 points. That can be diminished, so it's either Sam Kuijten or Lewis Beilicke, and we'll see who wins these races and who comes out on top. Well, if Lewis Beilicke in the scenario wins the first race, then Sam Kuijten will win the second race. Let's say then both drivers finish lower of each other in those races, then Lewis Beilicke wins. So what does Sam Kuijten have to do? He has to just drive better than Lewis Beilicke in both races. And maybe hope Lewis Beilicke has an incident, which hasn't happened yet, even though we have had a reversed grid start, because the first starting grid of the first race is determined on qualifying position, but then after the results of the first race, the whole top 10 will be reversed, and that certainly causes chaos, especially in earlier rounds in the championship. We've seen it in Zandvoort, we've seen it in different rounds as well. See if it will happen in the Nurburgring as well. Chaos, that's what I'm talking about. Chaos is maybe the word for the last round, because every driver is being a little bit more aggressive than usual. This is a replay. This is bronze driver Sander Kamphuis in the 906 Porsche Super Cup, having a little bit of a moment. Does he lose the car on exit? No, it doesn't look like, but Sander Kamphuis getting used to the track for the final minutes in practice, because we are already 11 seconds over qualifying time, over practice time, and so we will head to the very last qualifying session of this Porsche Super Cup season. Who will take pole position? I'm not betting on anyone, because everything can happen here in this 15 minutes long qualifying session. We have bronze drivers, gold drivers, we also have silver drivers, as I see everyone almost exiting pit lane too wide. What a scene. That probably predicts a little bit of chaos here and there in qualifying already. This is Sam Kuijten, the man in the Dinoco McQueen livery. He will be trying to win the championship, but it's not going to be made easy. Not only by Lewis Beilicke, but also by other drivers in that reverse top 10, like I said before, because, well, Sam Kuijten, statistically, he has always done well in qualifying, so why shouldn't he do well in this qualifying as well? And what I'm trying to get at is that if Sam Kuijten has a good qualifying, has a good race, then he will start roughly around P10, P9 in the second race, and that can cause a lot of chaos. But focusing on this qualifying session now, everyone's still getting their out lap in, ready for their first flying lap. These Porsche Super Cup tires, you can see Sam Kuijten already weaving on the straights. They don't like to get warmed up very quickly, and the iRacing tire model isn't known for tires getting warmed up quite quickly. The GT3 has a new tire model. It's been a while, but since that update, the tires they are just not easy to put in a good window, in a fast window, especially not for qualifying, because around your fourth and your fifth lap, that will be your fastest quali lap. It will not be this extreme in the Porsche Super Cup, but with every lap you go faster. And Freek Koekoek getting a really wide line into the last turn for a good exit, but Sam Kuijten now has the benefit of the slipstream that Freek Koekoek is giving him, yes, but if Freek Koekoek is slow enough for Sam Kuijten, then Kuijten will catch up to the back of the Maniti Racing driver, and he will have a problem for this qualifying session. Now looking on board with Sam Kuijten, let's take a look on board with Sam Kuijten once again. Stay there for a while as he is approaching the back of Freek Koekoek. The driver getting close to the back of Koekoek, like I touched before in the beginning of this lap. So far not setting any purple sector as far as I can see. You can see Freek Koekoek not taking the most advantage of the line at this track, and you can already see Sam Kuijten being at the back of Freek Koekoek now, and this will hold the man who is chasing the championship up in this qualifying session very much. And well, Freek Koekoek knows it, and Freek Koekoek also now gives Sam Kuijten the space, waves him by and let him do his qualifying session. And now Freek Koekoek, very smart done there by Koekoek, he can now chase in the slipstream of Sam Kuijten and maybe get a good few qualifying laps himself. This is your current championship leader, Luis Pelike. This qualifying session can be also important for Luis Pelike, because if he grabs pole position, he has statistically the best chance of winning the first race of this last and sixth round of this championship, and thus gaining an advantage in the championship compared to Sam Kuijten. Luis Pelike with the fastest lap. That won't stay the fastest lap, I think, because he took a rather wide entry going into the last turn. But for now, still on pole position. Sam Kuijten got held up massively by Freek Koekoek, and so he will drop down the order as he is starting his second flying lap. This is the 503 car. And this is the man, Juri Verzwijveren, the man who's currently leading the Bronze Championship. If I'm not mistaken, Juri Verzwijveren doing always really well if we're talking about the Bronze Championship here, and currently highest rated bronze driver in the qualifying session. So Juri Verzwijveren, can he clinch that Bronze Championship in the very last round? This is Gian Zutuelle, the 507 Porsche Super Cup. We have a replay. What happened to Zutuelle? Just losing the car there in the first part of the lap, and that's not ideal, because then you have to drive all the way back to start finish line, which takes you roughly 2 minutes here in these Porsche Super Cups, and that's a rather long time because this qualifying session is only 15 minutes long. Luis Pelike currently setting a 2:00.094. That indicates that a lap around this Nurburgring GP track for these Porsche Super Cups is around 2 minutes long. Almost exactly 2 minutes long, but I'm sure Lewis Bejleke will drop down in the 1 minute 59, if not the 1 minute 58. That would be quite ambitious by Lewis Bejleke and impressive as well, as we're now watching Lewis Bejleke. Through the last corner he goes, over the line, 2 purple sectors, 2 green sectors, a 159 it will be for Lewis Bejleke, I think so. Or is it? Yes, a 158 even, a 158.9 for Lewis Bejleke. And look, Sam Kuijten has catched up to traffic once again. The man who's trying so hard to get a good qualifying in, which is necessary for his championship survival, is currently P8, which is quite surprising, but he's catching traffic, and I think once he gets a clean lap, he can drive a competitive lap time compared to Lewis Bejleke. Johannes Trepman now currently in P2, chasing Freek Koekoek. He's currently P3, 1.1 seconds of Lewis Bejleke, but Trepman now in P2 in the slipstream of Freek Koekoek seems the perfect candidate for it. And maybe he can get closer to pole position as we look with Justin van Densen, your current best bronze driver. He is 3/10 ahead of Juri Verswijveren. Will it stay this way as Justin van Densen just looking up a little bit? Oh, and this is the 906 Porsche Super Cup of Sander Kamphuis. 3.7 seconds off pole position. What has happened to Sander Kamphuis? Losing the back end of that Porsche. It seems a tricky circuit car combination here. We've seen a lot of drivers losing the rear end, not only in qualifying but also in practice as well. And well, some Sander Kamphuis demonstrating that the rear end is pretty difficult in that Porsche Super Cup. So watching Jelle Belen putting his first lap time on the timing sheets. If he doesn't invalidate his lap and can complete his lap, he's now coming towards the Coca-Cola curve, the last chicane. Over through the last corner, Jelle Belen goes. Can he get a lap time on the board? The 528 Porsche Super Cup. The silver driver seems to have invalidated his lap, so Jelle Belen needs to retry his shot of a better qualifying position, because he is now with 3 drivers, the only one who hasn't set a lap time. Freek Koekoek, a better lap time for him. Johannes Trepman, also a better lap time for him, but co-driver Miquel Alonso currently in P4, doing very well. Oh god, there goes Sander Kamphuis once more through the grass, followed by the gravel, and back on the tarmac. Sander Kamphuis finds himself, and look at Sam Kuijten, 2.3 seconds off the lead. He hasn't managed to get a proper lap in, and the time is ticking down because we only have roughly 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Incredible stuff here in the qualifying session, but Lewis Bejleke can't get his hope up too soon, because we know Sam Kuijten, he can be a man of very quick pace in the dying stages of a qualifying session as well. As we go to Justin van Densen, the man who's currently in the top 10. Can he improve his position in qualifying? That is yet to be seen, but over the line, Justin van Densen does improve his lap time, 1.8 seconds off pole position, a 2:00.8, and that gets the bronze driver, the leading bronze driver in this qualifying session, up to P8 overall. Great lap there by Van Densen, as we had to Niklas Wehle, the 901 Porsche Super Cup. What can Wehle do in this qualifying lap? Through the last corner he goes. 3 green sectors, 1 yellow sector. I think an improvement is on the board here for Niklas Wehle. Over the line he goes. Yes, an improvement it is for Wehle, but not enough to gain a position. A 2:01.9 it is. Here comes Jelle Belen. Invalidated his lap the last time, but now goes up to P10. Sam Kuijten, 4/10 of pole position. And David Simon Jr. only 6/10. He had the fastest third sector of anyone in his last qualifying lap. Mighty impressive from the silver driver David Simon Jr., who definitely needs to get promoted next championship. And here comes Yuri Verzwijver. Can he do something to reclaim that top bronze spot? Over the line comes Yuri Verzwijver at the Nurburgring GP. Doesn't set a lap time. And I'm curious where Sam Kuijten is. Let's look on board with Sam Kuijten. Let's see if we can feel any pressure on board with Sam Kuijten. It doesn't look the best of lines. Through the Dunlop curve he goes, and it looks rather well so far. He did miss the apex of the fourth curve there, to the Schumacher S. Sam Kuijten goes, so he's aware of the gravel. Is that an invalidation for Sam Kuijten? It's not enough if he wants to claim this championship so far. Look at that. On the bottom of your screen, Lewis Beilicke, purple sector, yellow sector, purple sector, and a purple sector once again for the Koanda Esports driver, the man who's so comfortable at the Nurburgring. We're seeing it right now. Can he extend his lead in this qualifying session? A bit more than 4/10 in advantage on Sam Kuijten. It is for Lewis Beilicke in the number 7 Porsche Supercup. Comes across the line. Is it a better lap time? Yes, it is. A 158.790, and can Sam Kuijten answer to yellow sectors? And that won't do it for the man in P2 in the championship at the moment, and he only has 1 lap to go because the qualifying ends in iRacing when the clock hits 15:00. As Dennis Blocker, silver driver, only 1 second off pole position. Less than a second for a silver driver. Mighty impressive. A lot of people finding themselves comfortable, but a lot of people also not finding themselves comfortable. Nico Alonso probably won't be satisfied with that P7 so far. Lowest of the gold drivers, the Spaniard is. As we're still watching Sam Kuijten, let's see if we can see any sector times on screen. I'm sure they'll pop up in a moment. Lewis Beilicke not improving. Kamphuis is not improving. So maybe the track isn't improving as well. Track state, a huge thing in qualifying. Everyone has to be aware of the track states, especially in this time of year. It can be quite low at the Nurburgring, but that's a good thing. Low track temperature means more grip on the surface, and can Sam Kuijten make use of that grip on the surface that's currently at the Nurburgring GP. Frey Koekoek there, currently in P5. 2 yellow sectors, 1 green sector. So maybe an improvement is on for the Dutchman in P5. Lewis Beilicke in pit lane. He won't improve. David Simon Jr. in pit lane. He also will not improve. But we're watching the man who so desperately wants to claim this championship in his Dynaco liveried Porsche Supercup car. Sam Kuijten is now heading towards the final turn with a good slipstream there from, I think that is Rick Postema. As Sam Kuijten, 2 green sectors. Is that enough for Sam Kuijten? Is it an improvement? It's 6/10 away from pole position now, 4/10 away from Lewis Beilicke, but that's not enough in the race if you want to challenge for the championship here. Lewis Beilicke will breathe a sigh of relief that his championship rival is so far off him at the Nurburgring GP. 4/10, especially between these two, is a lot compared to what we've seen plenty of times this season. I can remember Imola, nothing in between in Imola. And now at the last race, 4/10 between Sam Kuijten and Lewis Beilicke. Tim Krause in P17 will stay in P17 as the qualifying session has ended. And we will make our way to the first race of this last round at the Nurburgring GP. This is the starting grid. Lewis Beilicke is your man on pole position. He starts from P1. Sam Kuijten followed. 4/10 is the difference between these two. Then David Simon Jr., the Dutch driver, finding himself in P3 after qualifying. Dennis Blocker in P4, followed by Frey Koekoek. He will be mildly satisfied with a P4. Johannes Trebman won't be satisfied with a P6, I reckon, followed by Spaniard Alonso. And followed by him is Rick Postema in the 505 Porsche Super Cup. Gian Zuterwelle in P9, followed by Justin van Densen, followed by Jelle Pele for Next Level Racing. 2.1 seconds off the lead, 2.2 seconds off the lead. Roel van der Zand in P12, as we can see everyone lined up on the grid already. Yuri Verswijveren in P13, followed by Nobel in P14, followed by Werle, Kamphuis and Tim Krause, German on home soil. Finishes qualifying in P17, followed by Jamie Tekule, 4.5 seconds off the lead in P18. If I'm not mistaken, that is the whole grid. So 18 drivers for the last 2 races in this NXTGP Super Cup, and the lights are out now. Who has the best start before Dennis Blocker has a good start. Louis Pelike has a good start. Sam Kuitert needs to defend from David Simon Jr. We know how difficult that is, but he has the inside for the next corner. 3 wide coming into turn 1. Frey Koekoek in the middle as he watched Rick Postema trying around the outside of Johannes Trebman, which is very difficult and won't work. And now he has Gian Zuterwelle on his inside heading into turn 3, but he has the inside for the next corner. As we had look at the fight just ahead, Frey Koekoek in battle with Dennis Blocker there, but these 2 drivers still side by side. There goes Frey Koekoek up to P4, has gained 1 position from his original start position so far, but will Johannes Trebman or Dennis Blocker come back on him? There, Johannes Trebman on home soil around the outside of the 4th curve, and now using the slipstream of Frey Koekoek, the Maniti Racing driver, to overtake Dennis Blocker, and so he does. Rick Postema on the outside actually of Gian Zuterwelle. No, it's the other way around. So Rick Postema now ahead of Zuterwelle in the 507 Porsche Super Cup, and through the Schumacher S, he creates a gap immediately and tries to take the fight towards Dennis Blocker. Mikel Alonso looking a little bit eyeing up Gian Zuterwelle there, but so far holding strong as we have fights in the midfield, almost 3 wide there. But Niklas Werle thinks the better of it, as Sam Kuitert is at the back of Louis Pelike. So maybe that qualifying session didn't tell everything of the pace that Sam Kuitert holds around the Nurburgring GP track in this Porsche Super Cup. The number 69 car, oh look at how close he is at the back of Louis Pelike. Pelike definitely did not expect this coming out of the qualifying session, but yet there they are, the 2 championship rivals fighting each other for every single point, because every single point counts. Sam Kuitert does the switchback, oh contact between the 2 drivers, but Sam Kuitert makes the move work, and yes, it's a little bit of door banging, but it's a beautiful move by Sam Kuitert. Took Louis Pelike by absolute surprise. Oh, there goes Louis Pelike on the inside of Sam Kuitert. Contact made again. David Simon Jr. closing in the gap. Kuitert will not be happy driving over the grass there, but a real championship fight we have here in this very last round. Reminder, only 3 points is the difference between these 2 guys, so every single race result matters now, as Sam Kuitert can finally breathe again, and so can Louis Pelike. And they need to breathe again, and there goes Sam Kuitert to the inside. An incident hasn't happened so far, and it's a miracle. And look at Simon Jr. sniffing a little bit on the inside of Louis Pelike. But it's coin tossing between these 2 drivers, both not giving an inch towards each other, overtaking each other after every single corner. Will we see a lunge by Louis Pelike? No, but yes, by David Simon Jr. Jr. wants a piece of both of these these guys, and he's not giving up. He sniffs a chance for that second place in this race and is immediately taking it, but it's not enough for David Simon Jr. so far. And so these three drivers now having a little bit of an equal gap. But look at P4, Freek Koekoek also getting there, and Lewis Beilicke immediately at the rear. You can see it of Sam Kuijten pushing Sam Kuijten towards the last corner. Absolutely amazing. You can only love this as an autosport fan, as an esports fan. There comes Lewis Beilicke, takes the inside being given by Sam Kuijten as well, heading into turn 1. What will happen here now? Look at Simon Jr. in third place. Sam Kuijten holding that outside in the first turn, and now to the inside in turn 2. A real fight between these two drivers. Side by side they go once again, and now Simon Jr. gets involved. Lewis Beilicke getting shoved wide there by Sam Kuijten, and so it's David Simon Jr. goes through to P2. Oh, look at Sam Kuijten absolutely going over the grass, and what a chaotic fight here for the podium spots, because Freek Koekoek is also getting involved, and this group is just getting closer and closer. Look at David Simon Jr. needing to defend, not expecting Lewis Beilicke there in P2, but there he is, Tico on the esports driver. Everybody take a breath when you can, because that's also hard to do in this action-packed finale. I said it once before in qualifying, I'll say it once again. Nurburgring breeds absolute chaos. A last round breeds absolute chaos. Can't believe I'm holding this up without taking any sip of water as a commentator here. But yet here we are. The show must go on, and look at Lewis Beilicke edging towards Sam Kuijten, corner by corner, but that doesn't matter so far, because Sam Kuijten is the man in P1 claiming the most points if it stays like this, and he needs those points desperately, because I'll just say it one more time, he is P2 in the championship, and Sam Kuijten needs all of the points he can get. Rick Postema in the wall, he is in the wall, and now getting overtaken by Yuri Verswijveren, the bronze driver, who's not the leading bronze driver, because that is Justin van Densen in P9. And now Lewis Beilicke sends one down the inside. No, thinks the better of it, because these two drivers now need to break away, because they've just seen what fighting with each other will cause. David Simon Jr. will join, Freek Koekoek will join, Johannes Trepman will join as well. We basically had a 5-way fight for the lead in this race just one lap ago. But it seems that it has stagnated a little bit, the fighting. Coming into the middle stages of this race, everyone has taken some kind of a breath, needing to relocate themselves in this race, as you should in the middle part of this last final round, and so the last first race of this championship, because after this race we have one race more, which will also be 20 minutes long, and the final decider how this championship will go down to the wire. But for now, we have these two drivers giving it everything and not giving each other any inch. Let's look on board with Lewis Beilicke, because he's oh so close at the back of Sam Kuijten. He's basically just a tiny bit faster than some Kuijten. Lewis Beilicke is. You can see the gap coming down corner by corner, not by a lot, but by a little bit, and that is enough if you want to overtake some Kuijten, or at least want to attempt a move for the lead in this race for the championship victory. The Honda esports driver, who has, well, almost equally as much wins as Sam Kuijten has. If I'm not mistaken, both haven't driven every round. Both have missed at least one round. At least only one round, because you can have one drop round in this NXTGP season. And that means that your worst round of the season will be removed at the end of the championship. And so far, 3 points only in between those two guys with their worst races of the season removed. So it all comes down to this once again. Can Justin van Densen lead bronze driver? Leading silver driver so far is Dennis Blocker in the 503 Porsche Super Cup. Holding steady, holding firm compared to his silver driver behind, Gian Zuterwelle. He's currently P2 in the silver championship in this race. Alright, now the sips of water have been taken. Everyone has taken a breath. I feel that a fight is maybe coming. Lewis Beilicke has the advantage of the slipstream on Sam Kuitert on the car ahead. Punching the hole is Kuitert. And now we're coming towards the back straight of this Nurburgring circuit. We of course have the Uitvanbocht. And that's this little kink right here, but it's flat out in any car. And so Lewis Beilicke will gain a massive amount on this straight alone. And then coming into the chicane, coming into the last corner, he might have a very good chance if he can get the exit lined up on this last turn on this 5.1 kilometer long track. Then he maybe can get an overtake. Attempt an overtake, as we see Sander Kamphuis defending from Jan Nobel. Lewis Beilicke so far too far away. Fastest lap for Sam Kuitert, a 1:59.2. Again, Beilicke still chasing the tail then of Sam Kuitert with only 9 minutes remaining, and after those 9 minutes we will have a second race. But by now, watching this championship, I'm aware that you know that. Everyone knows that behind their screens, watching this from home. And if you don't have anything to watch in the coming weeks, because well, the motorsport, the esports scene is dialing down just a little bit, especially with F1 entering their final round this weekend. We still have one more endurance round on the calendar here at NXTGP. That will be the 12 hours of the Nordschleife, which is of course the circuit next to here. Well, next to here, it's actually attached to the Nurburgring GP layout. That 12 hours of the Nordschleife will be held at January the 4th, and it will absolutely kick off here as well. We're almost going too wide into the chicane. That's never going to work out. We're going too wide. Jelle Belen just behind Rick Postema, Roel van der Sand, Justin van Densen, all involved in the fight for P9 here. And look, Rick Postema losing his position to Jelle Belen. Belen cleverly saw the situation there, made the most of it. And now Lewis Beilicke will send one down the inside of Sam Kuitert, but it's not brave enough on the brakes to challenge Sam Kuitert for the lead. And so he has to stick to the rear spoiler of that Porsche Super Cup just ahead of him, maybe down towards the inside. Sam Kuitert covers it off very cleverly here. Kuitert knows the game now. If he can defend well enough to Lewis Beilicke, then he can claim this victory. But a Porsche failed in your mirrors is not a lovely sight, and a mistake isn't far away when the pressure builds for a championship. And so Sam Kuitert will look in his rear view mirrors, and maybe Lewis Beilicke hopes looking in his rear view mirror it's too much for Sam Kuitert, and that will mean that he will make a mistake. Lewis Beilicke eager for that mistake and will get any chance he gets to retake the lead in this race. A lead that's oh so crucial. David Simon Jr. in the background. Oh no, the silver driver who's been doing so well in this championship, who was doing so well in this race, has lost it in the not the fourth curve, but the other one just lost it on the exit of the Dunlop curve. And it's a tricky one, the Dunlop curve. Yes, it's banked, it's a long corner to the right. Difficult to get your traction down perfectly, especially if you understeer a bit on towards the gravel and you lose the rear of the car. And that's exactly what happened to David Simon Jr., who is still running P8 and will maybe be able to get some positions back. But a shame for the silver driver, who's been doing so well in this championship as we speak, but it's not meant to be for this race. Rick Postema currently in P12, but the fight for the positions ahead is still going strong, as Lewis Balik is still not attempting a move. He did attempt a move last time around, but not close enough for a send down the inside. Oh, this is Johannes Treppmann, number 18 Porsche Supercup, through the gravel in turn 1. What has happened to the German driver Johannes Treppmann? Is it a mistake on his own merit, or did he get shoved wide? We'll probably get a replay of that soon as we speak. No, this must be a mistake on own merit for Johannes Treppmann, breaking into turn 1, the man who's currently 4th in a championship. And just locking the front tires up, going wide and losing only one position. No, actually 2 positions, because he was behind Frey Koekoek, so losing 2 positions. And well, that's not ideal. Jamie Tikula, the man who was already last in P18, now falling even further behind, as Lewis Balik is still on the rear of Sam Kuitert, and both have gotten away of the drivers behind them, and that was also necessary for this fight to continue, because we saw it in the beginning stages. They didn't run away, and that meant that everybody behind, when these 2 Paro drivers started fighting, could catch up, and made life very difficult, especially for the man who we were riding on board with, Lewis Balik. Johannes Treppmann, who we just saw going off as Jelle Bele, now overtakes Rick Postema. We've seen this before, as we lost touch with Jelle Bele for a few seconds, but here we are once again. Sam Kuitert setting a fastest lap of the race. Lewis Bele just behind there, less than, what was it, 5 thousandths of a second, 6 thousandths of a second between them this lap. And I was a little bit worried Sam Kuitert would not have the pace to rival championship rival Lewis Balik. But all is corrected now, because Sam Kuitert in front of your championship leader, as the sun is almost literally even blinding my eyes coming in towards turn 6. But Lewis Balik definitely didn't expect the pace that Sam Kuitert has in the race compared to qualifying. But again, here we are with only 3 minutes to go. Oh, Tim Krause there goes across the grass in towards turn 3 there. And that's not great for the 506, who's now falling behind the pack. Excuse me, as we have only 3 minutes remaining in this 20-minute long race. My God, what an exciting race it has been so far in this championship. And we'll get a fantastic finale, I'm sure, once again, because Lewis Balik, he needs to claim that P1. He wants that P1 as bad as anyone. I don't have to remind you where he stands in the championship. It's also crucial for Lewis Balik now, as everything unfolds as well in the midfield. Lewis Bailey now coming through the last turn together with some guided weaving down the straight. Lewis Bailey is close. Is he close enough to attempt a move on some guided taking the defensive line? Lewis Bailey needs to cut back, wants to cut back, and contact is made between some guided and Lewis Bailey. Will the stewards have a little bit of a look at that? Maybe we'll get a replay as well, because we were just riding on board with Lewis Bailey, but the lead has shifted in favor of your championship leader with a little bit of a touch on the rear end by some guided. I am presuming, because it did look strongly like that. Yeah, yes, definitely a touch between the championship contenders. Some guided getting pushed wider in turn 1. Lewis Bailey having absolutely none of it and getting P1. So far, because we still have one lap to race after this one. We saw them battle at Zandvoort. We see them battle now. We see them battle in the championship. And, well, I'm quite, as we see a message from race control. We've never actually had live race control, so I'm pretty surprised. But we do have race control now under investigation. Moving under braking by some guided. I thought I did see right there. Interesting to see what the stewards, what their final verdict will be. But Lewis Bailey not released from some guided yet, because here we will go. Some guided down towards the inside of the chicane. That's not a place where you normally overtake. Contact it's made between championship rivals once again. And when will this end in tears? We've seen so many moves. Lewis Bailey down the inside, thinking the better of it, but scaring some guided. Most definitely, what a fight we are having between these two drivers. Oh, we've already finished just about. It only took 1 second. Some guided wins the last race of the season, followed by Lewis Bailey, Johannes Trepman in P7. It took each other a second across the line to not make it. One round more. Jelle Pele finishes in P11. But what have we just seen? Ladies and gentlemen, an absolute scent down towards the inside of the chicane. We'll have a replay of Jamie Tekula. What has happened with Jamie Tekula? We won't see it in that first replay. We'll probably see it in the second replay. The 929 Porsche Supercup losing it. Oh, just going the wrong way, Jamie Tekula. Or I'm not actually sure what has happened there. Well, Jamie Tekula coming over the line nonetheless. And so finishing his race as well. Well, going over the gravel, losing the car. And, well, you can put it into reverse. Jamie Tekula to finish your last race of the season. Well, what an amazing finish we've had. But we still have one more race to go. And it's crucial that Lewis Bailey gets ahead of some guided. Otherwise, it will go the way to the Dutchman, this championship. So, some guided will win this race, followed by Lewis Bailey, followed by Frey Koekoek, who will be very happy with a P3 in this first race, and Alonso, quite a surprise, in P4, followed by Dennis Blocker, your leading silver driver, followed by Zouterwelle, followed by Trepman. Simon Jr. takes P8, Roel van der Sand takes P9, followed by Van Densen, Belen, Postma, Verzwijveren, Kamphuis, Nobel, Wackler, and Tim Kraus in P17, and Jamie Tekula, like we saw, finishes in P18. We will have a little bit of a break, about 3 minutes, and then we'll be back with you for the very last race here in this NXTGP Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, powered by Sim Racing Center. We'll see you in a bit. And so it all comes down to the final round of the NXTGP Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Championship. Who will win this championship? We have yet to find out, but we will find out in roughly 20 minutes time. Sam Kuijten just won the last race, which means he is ahead of the championship so far compared to Lewis Pelican, and there were only 3 points between these two drivers. Now, if and only if Lewis Pelican gets ahead of Sam Kuijten in this race, doesn't matter which position, if he gets ahead, probably P1 or P2, then he will claim the championship. The NXTGP Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Championship will win the honor, but also the prizes, because we have prizes here in this Porsche Carrera Cup. But I think we will go to the start soon. Race control says Kuijten, race 1, lap 10. No investigation necessary. And so we will head to the starting grid of race 2, the very last race in this season. Justin van Densen get pole position, followed by Roel van der Zand, Simon Jr., Trepman, followed by Zutuela, Blokker, Alonso, Freek Koekoek, Lewis Pelican in P9, Sam Kuijten in P10. The rest is all the same compared to the last race. Jelle Pelen, Postema, Verzwijveren, Kamphuis, Nobel, Welle, Tim Krause and Jamie de Koele in P18, the very last man. Now the lights are almost already on our screen. And who will win the NXTGP Porsche Supercup Benelux Championship? We will find out. Sam Kuijten and Lewis Pelican will do their best to get in front of all of these drivers, but there are the lights. It's Justin van Densen, the red car on pole position, and Roel van der Zand, the orange-blue car just behind it. Van der Zand has a very good start there and can take the lead away from Justin van Densen, and does so. David Simon Jr. follows, followed by Johannes Trepman. Oh, it's a difficult start for Justin van Densen. Go on the esports driver. Oh, it's 3 wide in turn 1, and there they go, side by side, the championship rivals once again. Oh, a look up in front of Go-On the esports driver Lewis Pelican. Side by side they go. Mikel Alonso trying to overtake Freek Koekoek. 3 wide into 1. That doesn't go, and so contact is made for the drivers just ahead of those. Oh, contact, and spinning around is the car of Gian Zuterwelle. Oh, I don't think this is Gian Zuterwelle's fault by the looks of it. A man who has been taken in the crossfire, but how is it between Lewis Pelican and Sam Kuijten? Sam Kuijten is in P6, while Lewis Pelican is in P9. Incredible scenes. Lewis Pelican to the inside. Contact for Lewis Pelican. Oh, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong for the championship leader. The man who was coming into this round as the championship leader has made contact. And now down to P12 he is. And he sees his championship flash before his eyes. Oh, Yuri Verzwijveren, the Dutchman, for Schijfvlak Racing, losing the car as well, dropping all the way down to P16 and even P17. Oh, what drama, heartbreak, tears for Lewis Pelican. We had such an exciting championship fight, and I want to focus on Sam Kuijten because not all is said and done for Sam Kuijten here. He wants to take that victory, but he still needs a few cars. Justin van Densen ahead of him, followed by Trepman, Simon Jr. and Van der Zand in P1. Ladies and gentlemen, take a breath, because I believe the championship fight has just been undone. But we stay with the leaders of this race, because David Simon Jr. wants to take that lead from Roel van der Zand, does the switchback and does it oh so well. Oh my god, contact between these two drivers under investigation. Lewis Pelican, David Simon Jr. running wide. Oh, contact with Johannes Trepman. It's all going wrong here in the last round of the season, in the last race of the season. Contact between Simon Jr. and Johannes Trepman. Well, I'm telling you now, the stewards will have a very busy evening. Sam Kuijten currently in P3 doesn't have to do anything, does he? He can just go along and improve his position. that because other people are making mistakes around him. While some counted probably the championship winner after this round, but who knows, he can still get taken out of contention as well as Lewis Pelike, currently in P9, trying to make his way up the field. Some counted, winning a position in the Schumacher S, just overtook Justin van Densen, and now he will attack Roel van der Zand for the lead in this race, and he's coming close very quickly. Some count it is, as Lewis Pelike we still see driving around in P9, heartbroken. This is the move. Lewis Pelike wanting to go for the move. Just the door just gets shut down by the 528. 528 was having none of it, committed to the turn already. And Lewis Pelike making contact with the 528. The stewards will decide. Simon Jr. is under investigation. It's just too far for Lewis Pelike, just too desperate. I know, he has to. He knows in his mind he has to make that position to challenge for the championship, but some counted now in P2. Roel van der Zand is defending. Can some counted get the momentum around the outside? The nose isn't in for turn 2. Oh, but Roel van der Zand lets it happen. Lets some counted by, and now counted can extend his lead. Oh, we have contact between Justin van Densen and Rick Postema in the background was going off, and Postema is chopping down the field as Lewis Pelike is trying to overtake Justin van Densen around the outside, and so he does in turn 4. Incredible move there by Lewis Pelike around the outside. 10-second penalty for Lewis Pelike. That was kind of expected. Oh no, that's Justin van Densen losing the car. Rick Postema nowhere to go. Didn't see Justin van Densen. Oh wow. That's heartbreak for the man who was doing well in this race, Rick Postema, the silver driver. But well, those race incidents happen, and that's a nasty one. That incident, as a driver, you will look back at it countless of times and you think to yourself, couldn't I have done something different? Why didn't I swerve to the right or to the left? But at the end, it all is for naught. As we see Johannes Trepman in P18 wanting to battle with Freek Koekoek, who doesn't have a super streamlined rear end of that Porsche Super Cup. David Simon Jr. getting a 5-second time penalty as well. That's not something the silver driver wants to see, because now a 5-second time penalty will drop him all the way to P8. And so he will lose his podium position that he now claims. And this is Johannes Trepman on Freek Koekoek. Freek Koekoek defending for what he is worth. The Manisi Racing driver, Johannes Trepman, having the momentum on the outside. Can he make it around the outside? The answer is no to that question. Freek Koekoek getting closer to Dennis Blocker as well. You can see it visually in the last couple of corners. It's Blocker coming closer and closer. This is Rick Postema. What has happened to the 505? Spinning around. Doesn't seem so. Just locking up and exiting this race. That's very interesting. Rick Postema also out of this race. And we see now Shion Zoutewelle in P14, 507. All penalties will be added after the races, so the penalties will not be, well, showed on screen. That's what I can only imagine. As David Simon Jr. is now ready to attack Roel van der Zand. Lewis Pelike, meanwhile, currently in P7. See what Lewis Pelike can do, because he's approaching a big group of cars. That is Blocker having a penalty, because you can see at the top left of your screen the yellow icon, and there goes David Simon Jr. He was having a sniff on the inside by Roel van der Zand, but currently Roel van der Zand having none of it, closing the door for Simon Jr. as Lewis Pelike has just improved one position up to P6. It is for the man fighting for this championship. David Simon Jr. currently on the inside of the last turn, and Roel van der Zand lets it happen, doesn't take the defensive line, or can he carry enough momentum on the outside? Simon Jr. making contact with Roel van der Zand, and so van der Zand regains his P2. Defense is P2, and that's crucial as Lewis Bejleke just set the fastest lap of the race, 5 tenths faster than Sam Kuijten. That is worrying for Sam Kuijten, who is currently not having the best of, well, he's having a great race, do not mistaken me, but his lap times aren't the greatest, especially what we've seen last race. We were having lap times in the 1:59.0s. Well, Sam Kuijten is 1 second of his personal best in the first race. Lewis Bejleke then in P5, getting up to the back of Freek Koekoek. I mentioned Bejleke in this race a few times before. As David Simon Jr. again battling with Roel van der Zand. These two drivers also not giving each other a square inch of tarmac on this Nurburgring GP circuit. David Simon Jr. And there goes Lewis Bejleke on the inside of Freek Koekoek. Freek Koekoek gave Bejleke that position. Very smartly done by Freek Koekoek. Recognizes that Bejleke is faster than him. Thinks, I'm not gonna fight you because we will only lose time. Here you go, sir. After you. And now Lewis Bejleke can chase towards these guys. 3.6 seconds. He is gaining time, even though he's overtaking people on Sam Kuijten. This championship fight for the race is not over, ladies and gentlemen. But Lewis Bejleke, now it's crucial that Lewis Bejleke gets past these two drivers ahead of him as quickly as possible. Roel van der Zand got a very bad exit out of the chicane there, and now the man in P3 will now be promoted to P2 surely, and look who follows, Lewis Bejleke in his slipstream. But of course David Simon Jr. is going to defend. He's done it all season, and this is going to be difficult. 3 wide heading into turn 1. If this doesn't go wrong, I don't know what doesn't. As Lewis Bejleke on the outside, David Simon Jr. on the inside. Look at the momentum the German driver has. Roel van der Zand choosing the inside. No contact is made miraculously between these two drivers. And now van der Zand comes back at David Simon Jr. and retakes that third spot that he claims a few corners ago, because he was P3, but then he was behind David Simon Jr. But now he also has been overtaken by Lewis Bejleke. So 1 spot gained and 1 spot lost equals P3 for Roel van der Zand. And I'm curious if Lewis Bejleke will manage to win any time to Sam Kuijten, even though he was fighting with these two drivers, P3 and P4. He hasn't managed to lose any time, but the gap isn't also coming down, so maybe Sam Kuijten was playing a little bit. But now our focus is to this group now, because Freek Koekoek needs to defend from Johannes Treppmann, the German driver, who wants to do it good on home soil. He's wanting to overtake Freek Koekoek the entirety of this race. He has stared at the back of that rear end, who has had a few punches. That rear end, we must admit, we can visually see. And so Johannes Treppmann thinks, maybe I can have an advantage on Freek Koekoek here. Yet he is still behind in P6 and needs to find any form of a gap to overtake Freek Koekoek. I know Freek Koekoek, he's a sensible guy, but it's the last race of the season. It's the last 8 minutes of this season, and if he needs to defend to take his P5 over the line, he will do so. David Simon Jr. the switchback. It is for the silver driver. Contact between these silver drivers. It's getting spiced up here for P3 in this race, and will this end in tears? David Simon Jr. wouldn't have liked that for sure. So close at the back. Simon Jr. touching the back of Roel van der Zand. This doesn't go well. Through goes Freek Frank Koekoek. Off goes these two drivers. You could see it coming, the frustration by Simon Jr. And now Johannes Trepman wants to try it around the outside of Frank Koekoek, and he is doing so. Johannes Trepman taking P3. What a turn of events, touching with Frank Koekoek, and now he has to defend from Dennis Blocker, the man from behind who's seen it all. And now Blocker coming into turn 4. Oh, what a send there by David Simon Jr. Let's catch a breath, guys, because these 4 drivers are not stopping with any fighting whatsoever. Incredible scenes here at the Nurburgring GP circuit for our very last race of the season. It couldn't be more entertaining, it couldn't be more chaotic. This is what you want to see as a racing fan, as a sim racing fan. All the elation, all the excitement, it's happening everywhere. Oh wow, oh no, Niklas Welle, oh wow, that car is totally destroyed. You can see the rear tires, the meatball flag is out. What has happened to Niklas Welle then? The 901, has he just found the barriers? Oh wow, what a massive correction there. And finding the barriers out of the Schumacher S. Niklas Welle, his last race ends in tears. Oh, David Simon Jr. doing everything to get that P5 from Frank Koekoek, but Koekoek not giving a square inch contact between these two drivers. Now the Maniti racing driver needs to be careful as Simon Jr. losing the rear end there, losing control of his car, and thus far needing to hold his attack on P5. Frank Koekoek wanting to do everything to get that P5. I said it before, I'll say it again. Uspedeke closing the gap to some guided, but is it enough? I am not sure. As David Simon Jr. still in P6, chasing the tail of Frank Koekoek. Let's go on board with David Simon Jr. for a quick half a lap of this Nurburgring GP circuit. Now everything has dialed down a little bit. What an incident, Tim Krause. We just saw teammate Niklas Welle go off the road, but now it's the turn of Tim Krause, the 506 car. What has happened to the 506 car? Embattlements with, that must be Rick Postema or Gian Zoetemelk, getting shoved wide there by either Postema or Zoetemelk. And losing the car on exit. Oh, here goes Frank Koekoek around the outside. Contact between mate, but Frank Koekoek holds it around the outside. What a move by Koekoek to defend his P5 in this race. Like I said, he will do everything to do so, but David Simon Jr. also will do everything to claim that P5. And we know Simon Jr. by now, he's an aggressive driver, especially at the late stages of this race. What an elation for Frank Koekoek to defend his position there. Very nicely done by the Dutchman. But here Simon Jr. already all over the back of his car. I wanted to overtake that black, green and white Porsche Super Cup car. Oh wow, we've only almost had the entire season completed. We only have 3 minutes left, and if it stays like this, Sam Kuijten will win the NXTGP Porsche Racing Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux season. What a name it is. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux season, powered by Sim Racing Center. As Frank Koekoek catches a little bit of gravel there. Oh, Lewis Peleke getting really close now. 2.7 seconds at the back of Sam Kuijten. The number 7 Kawandi Esports driver is driving, but I am afraid it's not enough. We have 2 seconds 2 seconds. We have 2 laps remaining. I think we have 2 laps remaining. Actually, it might be very close for Sam Kuitert, because he needs to get with exactly 2 minutes over the line. No, we'll have only 1 lap remaining. This is the very last lap of this Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. And so far, it will go the way of Sam Kuitert, the championship. Louis Beilecke, frustrated, 100% angry, maybe with himself, but maybe with anything that has happened in that start. 2.3 seconds is the gap now. Sam Kuitert is reeling this championship in very safely. But what a championship we have had so far. We have had multiple winners, but it's mainly between these 2 drivers. They found each other at the Hockenheimring. They found each other at Imola, at Zandvoort. Not at the Red Bull Ring, because Louis Beilecke wasn't there. But now at the Nurburgring GP, they'll find each other once more. But I'm afraid for Louis Beilecke, it's the man, the Dutchman, on a German track, who will come out on top, as the gap is still decreasing, 2.1 seconds. But it's not going to be enough. Yet, despite that, Louis Beilecke, with his wipers on, trying everything to close the gap. Maybe Sam Kuitert will have a technical problem with the steering wheel, will make a mistake. You do not know. You do not end the fight until it has ended, until you are over the line. A little bit of gravel for Sam Kuitert. But I think the Dutchman knows it. The driver for Team Redline, who's currently not racing under Team Redline, Sam Kuitert, will win this championship, because twice this round he has ended ahead of Louis Beilecke. Through the last corner they go. For the last race, for the last time, Sam Kuitert will win a race in the NXTGP Porsche Carrera Super Cup Benelux, and he will win the championship. And Louis Beilecke, with the fastest lap, will claim P2, but it is all for naught, because he also claims P2 in the championship. What a race, what a championship we've had here at NXTGP, as the race isn't over yet. Silver driver Gian Tutuele giving it all to overtake Jelle Bele in this championship, in this last race. P10 it will be for Gian Tutuele. Sam Kuitert, race control confirms it. Sam Kuitert is your NXTGP iRacing Porsche Carrera Super Cup Benelux champion in this championship. After 6 rounds, it has all come down to the very last race, to the very last race start as well. Tim Krause will come across the line in P13, the last man to cross the line in this championship. And well, ladies and gentlemen, what a season we have had here in this Porsche Super Cup at NXTGP. We've had Team Redline drivers, we've had Koan the eSport driver, Miniti Racing is in there as well. Sam Kuitert, these are your Heat 1 results. I'm afraid these are not your Heat 2 race results, these are your feature race results. Sam Kuitert wins this race and therefore also wins the championship in P1. Louis Beilecke ahead in P2, and so we will finish the championship in the general standings in P2 as well. Johannes Trepman will give it. Milan Tekens isn't here. Perhaps also clinch the 3rd spot in this championship. That has yet to be confirmed. Dennis Blocker will finish in P4. You can be very happy with that, the silver driver. Frey Koekoek finishes in P5 in average season for Koekoek. Silver driver David Simon Jr. after everything will finish P6. Alonso in P7, followed by Roel van der Zand in P8, followed by Jelle Bele in P9. Silver driver Zoutuelle in P10. It's a bronze driver Kamphuis in P11, followed by P12. Janne Nobel and Tim Krause will finish as last, 1 minute behind the rest. All the others have DNF'd from this race. P14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Rick Postma is the last man in this race result sheet. Well, again, what a championship we've had. As we see the race replay and some highlights, you can see a Kawandi Esports driver Lewis Beilicke giving it all, making contact with Sam Kuitert there, Kuitert having none of it. And there's the incident then, touching Gion Zoeterwelle there, as we are going to round off this stream. I'm sure Lewis Beilicke is now in, well, he's in P2, and I wanted to say he's in trouble, but that's the replay, of course. And Lewis Beilicke finding himself in trouble there, as these are a little bit of some highlights. Sam Kuitert again winning the race there just behind Lewis Beilicke. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for watching to this fantastic NXTGP Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Championship. After 6 rounds we have a championship winner, but it went down right to the wire between the Kawandi Esports driver and a Team Redline driver, the highest of the bunch here at NXTGP. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank Sim Racing Center for sponsoring this championship. I want to thank our beautiful team, Olaf Olthoff, Olivier Olthoff, Dennis Wieninga behind the screens for making this all possible. But I also want to thank you, the viewer, because if it weren't for the viewer, we wouldn't broadcast this and we wouldn't have this championship. Speaking about championships, there will be new ones coming next year. So join our Discord, follow our social media channels. They will be there once the next year starts in 2026. Again, once more, I am your commentator, David Zutphen. I will be there next season as well. I want to thank you all for watching to this beautiful championship. Hopefully, it's just as good or even better the next time. Thank you all and goodbye.